Yes. Afternoon, everybody. This is the Special Committee on Commissions on the day before Halloween, October 30th, 2023. And I imagine today, looking towards what needs to get done, is that today's going to be pretty much a working session because today is the deadline for us to get our inputs into OLS. We're going to be going via Leggy Admin Committee. We're going to make sure we put together an amendment that captures what we want to do through that committee, and it's going to be, was it 84?
SB 84.
SB 84 is going to be the vehicle for this first wave of reducing committees and commissions. And we're honored to have former Speaker Shurtleff with us because I know he has an opinion he wants to express to us on one of the potential actions. And we do have a quorum, so why don't we get started? What I'd like to do is go through go down the list, and Speaker Shurtleff, do you have a place you need to be right away? I can put you at the top of it. Oh, wow. Wow, it is getting thick. So, all right, so let's just go down the list and ask the Vice Chair to take us through these one at a time. We have potential of 10, I believe. And,
Yes, we do.
And I would like to get at least 8 or 9 of the 10 into Leggy Admin for action. So, John?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our first item on the list is HB 258, Chapter 271.1, Laws of 2001, and Representative Wilhelm was going to take care of this.
Matt, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, I will. So I volunteered a little tongue in cheek because it seemed like this was the no-brainer one that needed to be put on the list. And so I need to go back. Let me find my notes, but I spoke with Deborah about it, and she said this is absolutely one that should be on the list. There are no appointees right now.
Okay, good.
So
Okay.
Excellent.
Very good.
So that takes number 1 right off the list. Excellent.
So
And-
what's going to happen is our representatives from Leggy Admin are going to take our output from this meeting down to OLS right as before the meeting gets too long here, and make sure it gets inputted so that when they have their committee meeting coming up, that this will be, hopefully it'll be a group of on the list. Hopefully it'll make it, depending on the committee.
Because it is a non-germane amendment.
It'll be on consent, I would hope. We'll see.
Because it's a non-germane amendment, we are going to have a public hearing
Right.
before we exec it, yeah.
Perfect.
What's the
Number
next
2,
one, John?
number 2, 4
I'm sorry.
colon,
That was 271, sorry, just trying to confirm that quietly.
that's,
House Bill
it's
258,
250, why do I have
it's right on
to-
your
sorry.
list.
Yeah,
Chapter
Got it.
27.
Oh, okay.
27.
Oh, sorry, Chapter 271. Cool.
Where I get it. Thank you.
Okay. Next on our list is 4 colon 9-1, Commission to oversee the John G. Wynant Memorial. And I have it on my list that we are going to discuss this, and Representative Shurtleff is here to discuss it with us.
floor is yours, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Steve Shurtleff, and I represent Merrimack District 15, Ward 1, the village of Pennacook. And I really don't have anything planned to speak about, just to say I hope the committee does not abolish this commission. as you probably know, the Wynant statue memorial was dedicated in 2017. And it's to our late governor, the ambassador to England during World War II. And the committee, private funding, our committee raised over $300,000 for the Wynant Memorial. And in a way, I look at the memorial, of course, primarily being to honor Governor Wynant for his service to our state and to our country. He was also the first director of the Social Security Administration. That's why our Social Security numbers are 001, 002, and 003. In fact, Governor Wynant was supposed to get 001, 01, 001 as the chair of that commission. And being a humble man, he said, no, I'll just take whatever comes randomly. And that went to a woman here in Concord. So that's my trivia for the day. But the memorial is dedicated to Governor Wynant. But in my heart, it's also dedicated to a good friend of many of us, the former commissioner, Van McLeod from the Cultural Affairs. I chaired the Wynant committee that, with a lot of help from a lot of people, we raised the money. But if anybody was the chair, vice chair, it was Van. And he died when we had about 90% of the work done. And so if you look at the memorial and look to the left, there's a small plaque there dedicated to Van, where it's his words, after every wood and upward. And those are engraved next to the memorial as our way of thanking Van for everything he did individually and as Commissioner of Cultural Resources. The commission is made up of 3 people, myself, Paul Smith, the clerk, and Terry Johnson from the New Hampshire Department of Historical Resources. And we have not met. And I think in some ways this committee may look at that as being a negative. Well, you haven't done anything since the dedication because nothing has needed to be done. I myself look at the statue and it's being maintained. It's in good shape. The purpose for having this part in the legislation is that, and I wrote this to my friend, and I think it's in your records now, the email I sent to my friend from Derry. I have seen over the years a number of times when the Department of Administration has not received funding they probably should have gotten, but didn't. And we've seen a lot of our cultural and historic properties degrade over the years, such as the Robert Frost Farm in Derry, the Wentworth Coolidge Mansion in the Seacoast, and the Daniel Webster Farm, and now in Salisbury, originally in Franklin, and those have hurt. I wanted to make sure, at least during my lifetime, that if anything happened to the statue or the shrubbery or anything that the state for some reason could not take care of, that this group would raise the money. We already have about $5,000 on hand, but raise any additional funds to make sure that that was maintained. I'm so proud of the number of out-of-state people that we have coming to our State House to visit, and many of them include the statue of John Wynant, and especially those coming from England, where he served so closely with the British people, refusing to leave London during the Blitz. They would actually go out and help the fire brigades go through the rubble, looking for the injured and the deceased. In some respects, John Wynant is more known and probably even better loved in England than he is here. And I've been out there times when English visitors have been and said, oh, God, bless John Wynant. So anyway, that concludes all I had to say to this group, but I do hope you will vote against it. If it's a question of taking it away, and not to take it away from this commission, but I know it does say the member of a house needs to be on this group. And if that is something that I could put a bill in to change, I'd be more than glad to. And let me just close by giving you my suggestion. I know that you're dealing with the effect of all these bills, and I know you're trying to deal with the cause. And I think part of the problem we have in the legislature is no matter if a person, whatever they put in for a bill, it's going to get filed. Someone could file a bill saying, make the tsetse fly the state insect of New Hampshire. I need a commission to look at this. And instead of telling them that we don't have tsetse flies in New Hampshire, Representative Shirtliff filed that 4 years ago and it didn't pass. I would like to see a six-person commission, a committee in the Speaker's office, like the Speaker's Advisory Group, 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, and if anybody puts in a bill to form a commission, it would go before this 6-person group first. In order to get a bill to go to OLS after that, you need a 60% vote of the 6 people, so 4 out of 6. If it fails, then like going to file a late bill, go to the floor of the House and ask permission there. I think we have a lot of our new people that think, oh, I'm going to put a bill in for a commissioner on this and that, not realizing that one may have been done just a couple sessions ago. But I'd like to see that check and balance so that we don't get so many of these bills coming in. And somehow, and some of them, I'm surprised how they actually came into law, and now you're suffering the consequences of it. That's all I've got, Mr. Chairman. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions from the committee? Comments? Yes, Representative Wall.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming in, Representative Shirtliff. Thank you for giving us your point of view as well as the history of what's going on. Yeah, in 2012 and 2013, we had legislation to have this statue constructed. Then in 2015, we had a bill come before us establishing the commission. So it's 8 years ago. And you say the commission has met since then and you've raised money since then. And I noticed in looking at the original bills that passed, if you, it says this bill establishes a committee to study the construction of a permanent memorial to Governor John Gilbert Winant on state property other than the State House grounds. And wouldn't you know, it's just across the street at the library and in a very prominent position. I'm wondering, I also have the legislation that established the Joint Legislative Historic Committee and the responsibilities of the Historic Committee. And it wasn't too many years ago when we had all of the statues around the State House inspected. We had to do a repair to the large one behind the State House. Water was coming out of the foot. So we had to do some repairs. And then the term that was used was this company from Massachusetts waxed the statues. I think it's just a rubbing on of a compound. It's not necessarily wax because that didn't make sense. With the Governor Winant statue just across the street, I'm wondering if it might make sense to include it in responsibilities of the Joint Historic Committee so that when these statues get inspected and taken care of, that one will too. Just wondering, what do you think?
I thank my friend from Seacoast who asked me that. I'd like to see it stay in the Winant Commission hands because these are the people that have a real vested interest in the statue. I suppose to put it under the Historic Commission would be fine. I'd have no objection. I just want oversight. You know, I remember, I think it was 10 years ago, there was a beautiful Victorian cottage on the grounds of the New Hampshire Hospital. Now the John Gallen office complex. It was not being used by the state, so it was left abandoned for 6 months. The pipes froze. And by the time they found it 6 months later, there was black mold. They had to tear that beautiful old cottage down. I just don't want to see things like the shrubbery should die. And the state say, well, we got to put our resources where we get the most, we'll let it go. You know, the shrubbery represents shrubbery that grows in New Hampshire as well as in England as part of the silent tribute to the governor. Those are the things I want to make. Somebody should hit the lamp for some reason and that breaks, that would be taken care of and not put off for another time. But if I've got a lot of respect for the Joint Historic Committee, and that would be fine. I'd have no problem with that either.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you very much and thanks for understanding. We'll do the best we can.
You always
and
do.
You know we will. And I know this is near and dear to your heart. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other yes, Karen.
Thank you. Which way does it go? Okay.
There you go.
Thank you for coming,
Representative Shirtliff. My recollection is that when we were working on this in the previous committee on committees, we had a memorial like this. I think it was to the police or it was to safety or something. And that was a similar situation where when the bill was originally passed, it had to do with the commission being pulled together to construct something. And it was easy enough. I mean, I think we included in our bill language that basically showed the evolution of the situation, got rid of the language that talked about the construction of the item. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what memorial was, and it simply said that the commission would continue and its responsibility would be for the maintenance and continued support of the memorial. So it reflected the reality of the situation, and it basically was just updating the statute. So I don't have the language in front of me, but it might be easy enough to just include something like that in our bill, our amendment, because speaking for myself, at this point, I would respect the request of Representative or Speaker Shirtliff and not repeal this commission. But we could do a simple update of the language.
Any other?
I think that was the law enforcement memorial out in front of the LOP that you're referring to. We did form an early committee, a study to look at this idea of forming a memorial, and we did our report at the end saying that we concluded the memorial should be done to honor Ambassador Wynant. And out of that, a private group came together because it was all private, the fundraising for it. There was no state expense. As far as the upkeep and maintenance, having talked to our chief of staff, talking to Terry, it's my understanding that the state, maintains it like everything else. But this is part of the original bill, this oversight commission. And again, it's just a fail-safe in the event that for some reason the state can't do what may need to be done. Like I said, that really means a lot to me, that to a lot of people for so many reasons, for the governor's struggle with mental health problems, his service, like his late son, Rivington Wynant, once said to Bill Gardner, the former Secretary of State, he said, "My father will never receive the honors and recognition he deserves because of the way he died." And he took his own life in November of 1947. And, the dedication, it made me feel so good. He had since passed on, Rivington, to know he's looking down and saying, yeah, your father has been honored. And what he suffered with his own mental health problems wasn't a detriment. It was one of the things that he should be proud of his father for, and the way he handled things. So
Any
that was a
other
long answer to a short question. I apologize.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and for sharing all of that. I just want to say what my thinking is as we go through all of these committees and commissions is that we don't want to just get rid of them just to get rid of them, or just to say, here's another one we can cut. We really want to look at how we've looked at how time and resource intensive a commission or committee is for staff. That's kind of one of the things we've been thinking about, and just trying to remember that some of these committees and commissions, it's really good and fine if they don't have work to do at a certain period, but that doesn't mean they don't have other work to do in the future, and we shouldn't drop that off and leave it. And so I feel like those two things that have been in my mind really apply in this situation. It's not a time and resource intensive committee or commission that the staff would find burdensome, and it's not so huge that you can never get people together, and it's only 6 years old, so it's just not going to have a ton of maintenance at this point, to be frank. So it really is a future-oriented commission. So I just wanted to let folks know what I'm kind of thinking of when I look at this commission and the work that it does.
Thank you.
Okay, assuming that's our final comment on this particular item, let me say that my recommendation is also out of deference to former speaker, I think that what I want to recommend to the committee is that we look at maybe moving this under the auspices or the control of the historic committee. However, not now.
Yeah.
Let's let former Speaker Shurtleff think about that and maybe communicate that thought with the folks that have been working on with you on this, and that if we could bring it, we could take it off our list now and put a bookmark on this, maybe a future action, maybe we bring it up through the Rules Committee, that we add it as a special legislation, if it's appropriate to do it that way, and not include it on this list of 10 or so, and let's let it rest and we'll think about it. Is that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your kind words and your thoughts, and it's greatly appreciated by me. Without even speaking to the other two members, I think to move it to the Historical Commission, the Joint Historical Commission would be fine with them as well as it is with me. Just that the fact that somebody else is looking over the statute and it's, and people, especially connected with the legislature, you know, here I go again. John Weiner's first position was member of the New Hampshire House for Ward 7 in Concord, and as long as there's more eyes on it, that would be fine.
And you have your finger in the Rules Committee, right?
I know some people on there, yeah.
So
They got a brilliant vice
perhaps-
chair.
Perhaps you could, if this strategy is supported by this
Yeah.
committee, perhaps you could.
It would
carry
be
that
supported
message.
by the vice chair as well.
Representative, you had some comments as well?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure it's clear. You're okay with us repealing it and giving it to the historical
That would
committee
be
today?
fine, Representative, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, John. Representative Wall, you had a comment?
Thank you. And the reason I brought that up about the historic committee is that's in law, and we're not going to get rid of it.
No.
And we, you know, all of us are going to be gone at some point.
What?
One way or another. One way or another. And either out of here or gone.
One way or the other.
And so I was thinking perpetual care.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. That'd make me sleep even better at night.
We're going to
Okay.
put a statue up to Representative Wall for making that comment. Yes,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we remove 4:9-1 from the removal list.
is there a second for that? Yes.
Yeah.
Paul seconds it? We get that?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Ah,
Okay, so
Unanimous.
so you're still in?
It was hard for me not to second my friend from Jerry's motion, but I want to thank all of you, Mr. Chairman, and the Vice Chair, and the members of this committee. I know, God bless you, you're doing God's work on this committee. I know it's not easy, and I thank you.
You're
For the
welcome to
kindness.
stay for the remainder of the meeting, or if you want.
I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
All right.
I think Matt had a question
Yeah.
for you.
Well, I guess I'm
sorry.
curious how we want to move forward with this. It sounded like there was some interest in moving it to oversight of the memorial to the Joint Historic Commission.
Yeah, my recommendation before we took the vote was that we look at doing that, but not right now.
Okay.
That we do that in
After we get all this other stuff put away.
Right, that we
Okay.
do that with another vehicle, maybe through the Rules Committee, that, because we're out of time in terms of
Yeah,
OLS.
we gotta get this OLS.
So, maybe, maybe after the first of the year, we can look at it with the embracement of the Rules Committee, we could put it on a special legislation that,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I was under the understanding that he said he's okay with it being repealed, putting a repeal on this amendment.
Right, he
Today.
did say that, but I think he's being polite. I think what he really wants is for us to not take the action on this. But I think by putting it off, we're not killing it. We're just saying we're gonna do it at a later date. That's all.
Yeah, when we put it in the commission, then this can be repealed. It's, the same, on the same bill.
Okay,
But
We all understand what we just.
that's later,
Okay.
not today.
I think I understand. Can I, can I see if I understand?
Yeah.
I was thinking we could do all of that in Representative Sheehan's question and Bill, but it sounds like that's not really possible. So we're not going to do it. We're going to do all of it later.
We're gonna do this particular.
This we're
issue
doing
later.
today,
Right. Okay.
because it has to
This
go,
particular statute, we're not gonna touch right now. We're gonna bring it up a
Got
little
it.
later in the calendar.
I think I got it. Thank you.
So,
Mr.
Represent-
Chairman, you're tabling this for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
that's technically what we're doing.
Right, and I think that when we started this committee, we had the understanding that if any of these activities are particularly contentious, that we're gonna back off from that, because there is so much fertile ground out there that we don't need to have these fights.
Well, thank you all. There are two great committees in the New Hampshire House, and this is one of them. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting a little lead.
Okay, next on our list,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question regarding the list before we go to the
Okay.
next one. So I'm under the impression this is the list of ones we're gonna review, not necessarily like a removal list.
this is the removal list.
Yeah, but we're gonna also review them.
Okay.
To make sure that we're okay with it, they're on the removal list.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because last time we met, everybody got assigned, and,
Well, the one we just talked about was on the removal list also, and we just took it off. So we can take others off as well, but right now there's still 8 or 9 still on the list. Hopefully we get most of them.
okay, Representative Simpson. 4-C:37, archived.
So I don't really have a lot of new information on this. I reached out to the senator on the commission because we didn't talk about this last time, but this has been, the Commission on Demographic Trends was recreated in 2022, and then the House tried to repeal it just a few months ago, and the Senate rejected our attempt to repeal. So I guess I'm concerned that if we put this on the removal list, we are, it might mess with the other things that we're asking to repeal that are much clearer. And that maybe we should put this off for its own.
I think the mechanics of this would be, as long as the Leggy Admin Committee agrees to put it on the list, then it would probably head down the road to a consent calendar. But you're right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, when it gets to the Senate.
If it gets to the Senate,
Right.
maybe more, we're gonna probably have to do a little bit of work with our Senate brothers and sisters to see if they can sustain the activity to repeal it, because if they kill it, then it's not gonna go anywhere. So
Right. Well, that's what I'm trying to say is if they just told us a few months ago that they don't want to repeal the Commission on Demographic Trends, I'm suspicious that the same Senate would change their mind on
We
that
would-
this month.
Hopefully, we
Or this
can get
term.
the chair and the ranking member of the ED&A committee, which I think this originally was reviewed last spring because of the UNH activity. UNH provides the demographics that everybody's happy with, and that doesn't cost us anything or any committee meetings or whatever. That if that is presented in that picture to some of the key senators, then, hopefully we can sweep that up with them. We can get Chairperson McGuire and the ranking member of ED&A to do that for us. So that would be the follow-up activity.
And then if they decided they still wanted it, they could just strip that one out.
They could.
If they weren't, you know what I mean? If they weren't on board.
They can take it, they can, I guess, remove it from consent. on their side? If it makes it a consent on their side, they can remove it. Yeah, no.
I think they would amend it, right, and strip it out. But I do think, knowing that, it was ITL'd in the Senate, I don't know why they would change their tune now. I'd be curious to know how that debate unfolded in the Senate. Because I imagine that whomever worked on it in ED&A from the House went over to the Senate and presented their reasoning. So
Yeah, you were there for the ED&A discussion on this one.
yeah, and I would hesitate to include that commission in this list, knowing that it already was a challenge in the Senate previously this term.
Given that we have maybe 8 or 9 other, I mean, I guess we'll see where we are at the end of today, what people have heard back, but this seems like one we could put aside for right now.
Yeah,
and see
Put
where you're
this on the back burner.
Yeah,
Well,
at least for today, and then come back to it even today if we need
Make
to.
a note
but-
of it, maybe we'll circle back to this one. again.
Back burner.
The old back burner list.
Yep. All
What's
right.
next there, Mr. Vice Chairman?
Okay, next one is 21-I:14-D.
Wait a second, we interrupt.
We just wanted to give you some clarification.
Yep.
that,
Just to clarify, the bill then it wouldn't be amending it any further. It would just be going for a concurrence and non-concurrence from taking options.
Got it.
I think that procedure.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so if we could get it to a committee of conference, then we can have the argument.
I don't think it's worth it. We want this to go smoothly.
It'd be nice if we could give them something that they would concur with or not. Since we haven't done a ton of work to bring them along with us.
I just don't think we
I
should
don't
be looking for trouble. If they just rejected a bill that tried to repeal this, why
Yeah.
would we put this in again? I just don't think it's worth the effort.
Put it on the-
Retain,
Put it on the back burner,
Yeah.
retain it.
yeah, or let it continue to live.
Okay. Moving right along. Representative Rombo, 21-I.
Yes, hopefully this will be more welcome feedback. I reached out to the 3 members of the committee and I didn't hear anything back initially. And then I name dropped to you in my follow-up email, so I got quicker response. But I did hear that from one Representative Emmerich, and the committee last term met once and talked to state employees about COVID supplies or lack thereof. And in Rep. Emmerich's opinion, this committee could be ended with absolutely no detriment to anyone or the state.
Perfect.
Uh,
I did not hear back from the other 2, but I would hope that they had had objections.
Right.
So I think it would be okay to keep this on the list.
We'll keep it on the list. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Representative. Okay, 28-B, I got the okay to kill from Representative Weiler. 125J11, I got the okay to kill from Representative Harrington. And the next one is 356B70, Representative Sheehan.
Yes, I spoke to Rep. Infantine and he said that he's okay with repealing this one.
Okay,
Good.
another one on the list. Okay, 404J1, I spoke to, Representative Hunt, okay to kill. Moving right along, 485F, Representative Dolan,
Yeah, that was the duplicative one.
duplicative, and that one is going bye-bye. And
Actually,
finally,
can I, is that the Long-Term Seacoast Commission on
Yeah.
Drinking Water?
Yeah, it is.
I live in the Seacoast and I represent towns that are also represented by Senator Perkins Quokka. And I know that she's very active in that commission and I just wondered if, what her position on it was, like how it's working and all of that. And I got a very different perspective than the one listed here in the notes. with the caveat that she said there are representatives on it that don't participate. So I, so I don't know, I don't want to be so quick to, chop it if there's, I mean, I can read to you some of what she sent me that they're working on, but
Sure.
they are actively doing work.
The
So,
Senate is?
no, this commission
Oh, I see.
Is,
is actively doing,
And it's
doing
not-
work.
it's non-duplicative work that.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
It is.
so let's put this one on the back burner.
Okay.
I have a feeling at the very least it would be contentious in the Senate.
Yeah, the more information we get about these, the
Yeah,
better off
that's
we
what
are.
I was
think-
thinking. And
yeah,
that's why I knew I had talked to her about it in the past. So I just wanted to make sure I had a conversation with her before we came together today.
okay.
Um,
Now we got 1, 2, 3 that were taken off. And finally, 651E, Interbranch Criminal Justice, Representative Sheehan.
Yeah, I spoke with Representative Roy, and they are actively using this commission.
Okay, so this is a no.
That leaves us with 6.
Okay, that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How do we feel about that? Collectively, how do we feel going with 6?
Which are the 6? Can we just
Okay,
run through it real quick?
What are the 6?
the 6 is, okay, HB 258, 21-I, the bottom of the front page, 28B1, next page, 125J11, next page, 356B70. Well, yeah, that whole page. 404J1, and that will be it. Because,
You have all those for the notes? Oh, by the way, my email, I was about 20 minutes in IT this morning trying to fix my email. I somehow got messed up with the two-factor authorization that we put in.
It's too safe now.
Yeah, so all my emails die, and I've got like hundreds to go through now. Could you resend the minutes, last couple of, because I didn't get, well, I got them probably, but
Yeah.
I
Do you
didn't- I
need a
didn't see-
different email address or-
no, same
Just
email.
one. Okay, I'll just resend it.
Appreciate it. I'm sorry.
So just to clarify, 651-E:2, that is one listed for repeal as well. Is that correct?
651 is a no.
The interbranch criminal
That's
and
not
juvenile
coming-
justice.
that's not
council,
coming.
that's a no. Got it. Thank you.
We're down to 6.
Yep,
6 on the recommendation that Leggy had got.
2 no's and 2 back burners. Interim study.
So again, the thought process with the memorial, the Speaker Shirtliff came and spoke to us about, is that he seems like he's okay if it went to the Historic Commission. And I think we'd probably be okay with doing that also, but what we just made a commitment to do is take it off our list, maybe add it on after the first of the year through the path of the Rules Committee, as opposed to Leggy admin, and give him time to review it with the activity with the fellow members on the commission. And hopefully he'd be supportive, once he's done that, to come back to us. And we can clear that up in that path. Who knows, with that Rules Committee action, I'm not an expert in how that would work, but maybe we will have had an opportunity to add another half dozen or so to our list. Maybe we could put it all through that, with that vehicle, through the Rules Committee. So, yeah, I was speaking with him and also with the speaker, is that that's an opportunity for us to get legislation input in a an out of cycle opportunity like this is through the Rules Committee. We're using the Leggy Admin amendment route right now, but this would be a different route. Just as effective, but different route. I think it might get more visibility than what we're doing with this one, but that's okay. We have good potential speakers if we have to speak to it. Okay, so we got 6 going through Leggy Admin. We've got 2 hours to get that written up or documented. Are you all set, Vanessa, to be able to do that? Do you want some? You want to? No, I was just saying. You want some help? Any more help with that? You just need some authorship from any of us? You think you got it? Representative Wall, you got any inputs on it? You're on that same committee,
It's a
right?
pretty cut and dried amendment.
Okay, anybody else have any inputs before our working representatives go off and COLS on this? Representative, Will, you've been through this before, do you have any thoughts?
No, it's a pretty straightforward process. The only thing is that OLS has to go through and see if there are any cross references to the ones that we're repealing in any other statutes. So, because it can be trickling through, but as a general matter, it's really straightforward. You just list the statute and you're on your way. So.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna look at the calendar here for upcoming meetings. Yeah. See.
I thought this was our last meeting. That's what,
So, because we got to bring in the chairs and
I don't think so.
grill them on the committees that they're responsible for. Oh, excuse me, talk with them.
Yeah, I think
This is the last meeting for this, but we're going to continue because
Yeah,
our
we-
charter says,
it was my understanding that the speaker was ending the committee, but
No, oh, no. We're on for another year.
okay.
Yes. Yes.
So, come on up. Turn on that mic.
For the record, I'm Gregory Hill, representing Northfield. But this case, I'm representing legislative administration. It's important for Representative Sheehan to get to OLS so that we can have a number. That number will let us schedule the next meeting. So it's critical that she get going. But number 2, I would like it if someone from this committee would plan on attending the legislative administration meeting on the 10th, the 8th,
That's the public hearing?
public hearing for this bill. Because as you, I'm sure, realize, aside from the 2 members that share both committees, some of the information comes from other people than those 2. So if there is questions that arise that people come to argue why their commission is on the list, it would be good if the people that had that conversation were there to answer for that.
Well, I can tell you that the chair and the vice chair will be there, and it's up to Matt whether you want a ranking member or a representative from your side to come as well.
Well, the ranking member is here.
No, I'm talking about for the ranking member of this committee.
Okay, well, I'm not designating who or pointing fingers, but it would be helpful, I'm sure,
Well,
if
John and I
somebody,
will be there.
yeah, we're going to be there.
we just don't
I
have
want-
much of a
I want to offer it
timeline.
to Matt if he wants one of the Democrat members to be.
Yeah, I just want to impress upon the committee that there isn't the timeline in here in order we need to handle everything on that day, pretty much.
Right.
So if we can get the answers to anyone that has concerns about the commissions that are being axed. It would be good if we could answer them during that hearing.
What time is the meeting on the 8th?
Haven't scheduled it yet,
Oh,
but,
okay.
but I would suspect it's probably 10. And we'll do our best to put this on first, and,
You want to think about it in terms of attendance?
Well, I think what's important is that the member of this committee who had the conversations with members
Right.
of other commissions, that they be in attendance. Because
I can't-
otherwise, I mean, there will be members there, right?
Right.
There will be, and you, Mr. Chairman, were here for this conversation, so that's helpful to some extent as well.
Right.
However, to say, yes, I had this conversation, they indeed said that they no longer need to be a commission. That's what you're looking for.
that's right.
In preparation for the work.
In addition to that, or to follow up on that, it would be good if perhaps there was some consideration about whether this amendment is going to be divisible when it gets to the House floor, and how those questions are going to be answered on the floor. This is a little bit different, you know, we're getting the work of one committee passed on to another committee, that it's not really fair for that committee to be the one that,
Right, we're hoping.
Answers for the work.
That you insert this in consent calendar. You see that happening or not happening?
you know, we've had none of this in front of us now. It would be a great big guess on my part. It's been a very cooperative committee, but this is not within our bailiwick, so I'm not, this year, we haven't seen any of these committees listed, so we don't know.
Do you think it would be helpful to have a member of leadership, either the speaker or the former speaker, come from an introduction to say what this is all about, this committee on commit?
No, I don't. I don't. The committee is familiar with it, at least several of the members. We've gone through this process. Honorable, Representative Ebel has walked us through and gave us my learning curve on the whole thing. You've probably been through this several times, Representative Wall. But it is, we've done this before.
Mhm.
It's never predictable who wants to come and contradict what we think is logical. But somewhere along the line, I will wager that someone on the floor will suggest that one of these needs to stay where it is. And why they didn't show up at this committee, I don't know. Why they won't show up at the Leggy admin public hearing, I don't know, but someone on the
They'll
floor
try to
will
pull it off
ask
consent.
something to be removed.
Maybe they'll try to pull it off consent.
And then the question is, who's going to be the one that says, this is why it needs to be there? So, that's all.
Well, you'll have representation there.
That's all.
Just
That's,
not sure what the mix of it.
then my work here is done. Anything else I can do for you? No?
I have a question. Are you anticipating changes to SB 84 aside from what we're doing?
No. It's going to be replace all as far as I'm concerned. If that's what you mean by change, well,
Well, I just.
I should have
didn't-
asked the
I-
question first.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember what the bill was as it came from the Senate, and I wondered if you were
SB 84 has a
yeah.
has a long and storied history. It originally started dealing with Plymouth, New Hampshire, and something completely different. It was stripped and then turned into what you see as 84 now. I plan on stripping 84 and putting this in, and one other thing. But
Was gonna go to a committee of conference, probably no matter what, right? Or maybe not. We'll have to see how it goes. There may be other things.
is that,
we have in the rules
was that a
committee.
volunteer?
Huh? No, I don't.
Oh.
I'm not volunteering anything. It sounds like our bill will be different.
That's what it
than the
sounded
one
like
they
to me.
passed,
I don't know.
So we'll see.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for coming, appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.
Any other comments? Oh, we want to look at the calendar. So we have the 13th blocked
Yeah,
out?
we have the 13th on the calendar. Yeah. That's Monday, 2 weeks from today.
It's always going to be a Monday.
Yeah, we don't have any conflicts with any religious holidays or
Yeah,
anything.
'cause very few people meet on Mondays.
And Thanksgiving is later in the month, so that's good.
Do we want to meet the Monday after Thanksgiving? 27th?
Yeah, that sounds good.
What else would you want to do? We're gonna have-
Do we have to bring you a cake or anything?
That's my mom's birthday.
What else is 27?
Okay, the 13th at 1 o'clock still okay? Do you want to do earlier in the day? 1:30?
It's fine with me.
On the 13th.
Yeah. Okay, we'll,
And on the 27th, will it also be 1:30 or will it still be?
Yeah, there's nothing
Is it
scheduled on the
Or
27th.
then while understanding conflict, is 1:30 better for you as a going forward time? Like, or is it just, okay, so.
All right, yeah.
so
that sounds
1:30 on the 13th and the 27th.
good. Works for me.
Brad, can you help us get that posted? Okay, good. All right, so the 13th and the 27th at 1:30. And Matt, you'll let me know if you want to have representation on the 8th in addition to,
I mean, I maintain that, you know, between Representative Wall and Representative Sheehan, like there's
right.
representation
I agree
there.
with you.
I do think that anybody who has been looking into any of these commissions and has recommended that they be, you know, recommended to our full group that they be repealed, it would be helpful to have them there in case any questions come up. So I don't know that any one person, any one additional person is going to be helpful. I think it's if we had conversations that, you know, help to indicate that they should be
Well, I
repealed.
want it to be as inclusive as possible, so I don't want to exclude anybody. So I guess if you want to come, but aren't specifically asked to come to speak to anything, you want to come just to be supportive
Mhm.
and backup, you can do that. Yes, yes,
I
ma'am.
was just gonna, well, this, I guess, goes to either you, Mr. Chairman or Representative Wilhelm. I have a conflict that morning, so to the extent my, exchange with the appointments on that committee were over email, is it okay to just, if I forward
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
the correspondence, so
give
there
us
at
some
least
narrative
that
of-
record or that documentation?
yeah,
but-
just give us some narrative.
Yeah,
that
because I
is
haven't
really
had any
appropriate.
phone conversations actually at this point either, anyway, so I'll forward what I have for email.
I think that's perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that if we just got a signal from a chair that says it's okay to get rid of it without the rationale, I think we better find out what the rationale was. I mean, on the county state commission, I mean,
Right.
maybe you talked to Representative Weiler, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I did.
And yeah, and
he said,
he's,
yeah, Because,
but-
because they don't have to meet, and if they want to meet, they can meet anyway.
Right,
Without,
I think what she's
without all the-
suggesting is let's get some context.
yeah, if we
around the-
just,
the
yeah, I
recommendation.
think if we have a question, I mean, in the case of that particular commission, that was one that was really focused on by the commission that I chaired. So I also followed up on it, although nobody asked me to. And the thing is that, and this is just, I want to share this with the commission because it's also an interesting fact. Apparently, these guys have been meeting robustly, the county state finance committee. They've been meeting robustly over the last several months or even a couple of years, but because the group is not submitting notices of their meetings to our calendar, it was basically not trackable by our
Right.
staff. And
Yeah.
so it shows here that they haven't met since 2012, when actually they have been.
That's what Ann Fitzgerald was telling us. If
Yeah,
They don't
it's-
notify us what they've done. then
Yeah,
it
so
looks like
that's one of
there's no
those
meeting.
things where you almost have to call the agency or something. But what they said to me was that they're the agency said they were very comfortable meeting on an ad hoc basis, which I think is
Which is exactly
what Chair Weiler said. That they were comfortable meeting on a ad hoc basis. So although they were not excited about repealing it when we looked into it, at this point, they think the ad hoc basis is okay. But it's just was interesting to me to hear that they'd been meeting a lot
Yeah.
and nobody knew because it's not in our calendar. It's just another issue with commissions. But anyway, the point is that I think we have to be able to give people a rationale rather than just say, the chair said we don't need to do it anymore.
Good input. Okay,
All right.
with that being said, I think we can adjourn. Okay, we're adjourned. See you on next time.